Hi, I'm Sherry Mumford with Stamping at Last, and I'm going to show you how to make this cute little birthday card. I used two very versatile stamp sets for this card. One is called Ride With Me, another is called Winter Woods. So let's get started. So here's a little bit closer look at the card with the truck and the balloons. Like I said, I'm using the Ride With Me stamp set with the truck and the balloons. You know, last time I used the set, I used the tree in the back of the truck. It's a really cute set. So let me show you what you need to make this specific card. You'll need, I used cherry cobbler cardstock, 8.5 by 5.5 for the base of the card. I used cherry cobbler 6 inches by 1 3/8 inches for this fence. And then white cardstock, 5 1/4 by 4. You'll need 3 of these. One for the inside, one for the outside, and as you'll notice, it's going to be cut with stitched framelit die. And then one to stamp the truck, the balloons, and the sentiment on. However, if you have scraps these sizes, you don't specifically have to have this. You can use whatever scraps you have to stamp these images on. So one of the first things I do is I take one of my 5 1/4 by 4 inches and I run it through the Big Shot with my stitched framelit. These are the stitched, rectangle stitched framelits dies, and I use the biggest one. Now you notice that 5 1/4 by 4 inch piece of paper, it is a very tight fit, but it does work. If you're worried it's too tight of a fit for you, just make it a little bit longer, make it maybe 5 1/2. But I did use 5 1/2 by 4 for mine, so I ran it through the Big Shot, and this is what I came up with. Next, I'm going to do some sponging on this card. I'm going to do some pool party very lightly in the background of the sky, and I'm going to do some pear pizzazz here at the bottom for the grass. This sponge looks like it has ink on it, but it's just a little bit stained. It's going to be just fine. So I think I'm going to start with the sky, and I just do it very faintly with pool party, and kind of start off the page and get quite a bit of ink off because I want it to be a fairly light colored sky. Maybe not that light. I just make circles. And I'm going to go probably about 2/3 of the way down on this one. I just want some sky to show through those trees once I stamp those trees. Yeah, I think that's going to be enough for me. Then I'm going to use pear pizzazz. Sponge some grass at the bottom. Now, if you want it to look more like a dirt road or something, you could always sponge a little brown in there. I'm just making mine all grass. And this I do want to get a little bit darker than the sky. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. Now the next thing I'm going to do is stamp my trees. These trees come from another stamp set. They come from Winter Woods. But there's all kinds of, you can use whatever trees you want to. Stampin' Up! Has several stamp sets with trees. If I'm using these trees for my background, and I'm going to use soft suede on these. Now you'll notice there's some kind of in the background, the trees higher, and then some darker towards the front. So for the background, I'm going to stamp off before I stamp these trees onto my card. So I'm just going to stamp off here, then I'm going to stamp onto my card. I'm going to do that twice. Then I'm going to make some darker trees towards the front. So I'm just going to go down a little bit and stamp just as I ink the pad. I'm not going to stamp off. I'm just going to stamp right there. So those look like they're a little bit closer. Now when I do the fence, I use this set of dies from Farmhouse Christmas, and it was one of last year's sets, Farmhouse Framelits, and it came with a fence. So that's the die I'm going to use to cut out this fence. Now I have already cut it out. You'll notice on this piece of paper, on the 6 inch by 1 3/8, that it doesn't go all the way across. So what I did first, I ran this through my die cutting machine. After it came out, then I did some more on this end. So I have already cut those two pieces out. And I maybe should have got my trees a little bit higher, but my fence, that's okay, my fence can be kind of lower. So I'm going to make my fence end right there with the end of those trees there at the end. And then I'm going to cut this so that it's going to fit on the end here. And it'll look like it's just a continual fence. So I'm going to cut real close to this pole. So it'll just continue after this. So when I glue it, it'll be right there. And then it looks like I need to cut it right till about this one. I may have to cut this one off too, but I'm going to wait and just check it before I cut this one all the way off. I don't want it to be too short. Yeah, I think that will work. Okay, so on this, you know, it just takes a little bit of glue on the back of some of these posts to hold that into place. So I got a scrap piece of paper, and I'm just going to put some glue on there, and I'm going to use my toothpick to apply the glue to the fence. Just put a little bit. And I'm just going to put some glue. I'm not going to put it on every single fence post. Because as long as I get some major spaces, it will hold it. Oops. So I'm going to keep that there. I'm just going to adhere this part of the fence. And just those few little dabs is going to hold that fence just fine. And then I'm going to put a little bit of glue on this part and put that on there. Doesn't take a lot. Okay. Okay. Now I'm going to turn it over just to be sure it's not. Yeah, it is overhanging just a little bit, so I'm just going to trim that part that I can see, so it doesn't hang off my card. Now what I'm going to do, which I already did, was stamp the truck and the balloons on this other white piece of paper. which I did. Now these were from the Ride With Me stamp set, the truck and the balloons, but I liked this happy birthday banner from another set. So I did use it from birthday banners. Get the top out so you can see. I used this set of birthday banners. I used this happy birthday. I stamped it first, then I stamped this around it. And I didn't quite like how that one turned out. I thought I could have done a better job of centering that happy birthday onto the banner. So I did go ahead and find another scrap piece of paper, and I did it again. So I thought that turned out a little bit better. It's a little bit higher on the banner. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to color the truck and the balloons, and then I will cut them out with the dies from the Big Shot for the balloons and the banner. But then the truck, I'm going to have to fussy cut. There's not a die that cuts out this truck, but there are dies that cut out the balloons, and it's from the die set called Truck Ride Dies. They have all these different dies that goes with it. Like this makes the 3D truck, but not the little truck for the card. And then these are the dies that are going to cut out those balloons once I get those colored. For the banners, I used the bunch of banners framelits. I use this framelit a lot. I just like that framelit for sentiments. So I'll be cutting those out. I'm going to color those, and then I'll run them through the Big Shot and then show you what they look like. So I'm going to go ahead and color my truck and my balloons and run these through the Big Shot, and fussy cut the truck, and then run my happy birthday through the Big Shot. Then I'm going to show you what I do to add a little bit of color to my happy birthday. Okay, so I got these colored. I'm going to show you what colors I used for this truck. I used my stamping blends. I used Light Night of Navy. For my balloons, I used dark Granny Apple Green, dark Mango Melody, and light Real Red. Also for the little truck, I used the dark Basic Black for the tires, and then for some of these different trims and that in the truck, I used on those wheels, I used light Smoky Slate, just to give it a little more color and definition there. Now when I glue this down, like I said on my other card, I had gone up with the trees. I didn't bring the trees quite down so low. If I were to do it again, I'd try to keep my trees up a little higher because I don't want the fence sticking down past the bottom of my truck. So I'm going to put my truck about right there. Before I do that though, I'm going to put my balloons in the truck. I'm thinking about if they should be outflowing or if I want them low like that. I think maybe like that. I was going to put a little bit of glue on here to hold those onto the truck because I am going to use dimensionals to put my truck onto there. Oops. Okay. So I think I want them flowing a little bit anyway, like that, because the truck's moving. So I'm going to get dimensionals, put my truck right there. Get a couple little dimensionals. I love these little tiny dimensionals. They're such a good size. Then I'm going to adhere this to the truck, to the card. I think too I like the grass a little bit greener. Maybe I used Old Olive on this one. It's still going to be cute. There we go. Let me think. I think I'll put it here and then put my sentiment over here. Like that. Yeah. Now for this, you'll notice this one has a little bit of blue on it because I had sponged that. So I'm going to go ahead and sponge with my pool party this greeting to make it stand out a little more, give it a little color. I kind of do the edges first, and if I want to add more towards the center, I do. I just kind of hold it. Get my hands all messy with the ink. Yeah, I think that's plenty. Oops. And I'm also going to use dimensionals on my birthday greeting. I think I'll use the little ones. And some of these you could have put on your card after you glued the background down, but it's going to be just fine. Okay. And then I think I'll angle it a little bit like that. That's so cute. So I've got my 8.5 by 5.5. I scored it at 4 1/4. And now I'm just going to glue this to the front. Inside this card, I am going to stamp a sentiment from the Ride With Me stamp set. I'll show you what it looks like on the other card. I think that's so cute. I'm going to stamp inside, Today Belongs to You, Ride With the Windows Open. That is part of the Ride With Me stamp set. So there's the birthday card. Now this is, I think you could consider this a masculine card, but I wouldn't save it just for boys or men. I would give this to a lot of people. I know a lot of people in my life who would really enjoy this card. I hope you enjoy making this card when you have a chance.